blessed to be here, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
Man, I appreciate you coming to the show. I want you to just dive in real fast and just how did you, end up saying, I wanted to be a coach, man. You were a player first, and then, everybody that plays the game can't translate to coaching the game. So how did you transition and say, this is what you wanted to do?
For me, it was more so my purpose and my gift for just touching young men initially, right? And I was trying to figure out what can I do to give back in a positive way that these young men's future selves can thank them for. And I said, I got it, football. Let me just try football. I've been doing it all my life. Was pretty good at it. Was blessed to play college ball. Had the opportunity to play in BC Lions, was released. But that whole experience that I went through allowed me the opportunity to try to give back to these young men. And so I started off back in, I think it was 2009, actually, coaching Kent Knights, junior football. And I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it as much because it's different from that lens, right? I'm used to having a helmet, shoulder pads, playing ball, but actually coaching young men. So once I got my foot in the door, I fell in love with the idea that I'm coaching and actually touching young men. And so from there, it started, man, and I just kind of applied for different spots, different jobs, and got asked to coach different places, different opportunities. So it's been a blessing so far.
Yeah, man. One thing that you touched on was touching the kids. And I think some people don't grasp the understanding of how important a coach is to some of these young kids, because for the most part, most of these coaches don't understand that, this might be their place of, sanity, their place of peace. And I wanted to touch on, how do you take that ownership of being a coach? Because I feel like coaches are teachers. How do you take that on and really provide some leadership to these young men? Because it's hard, especially being in a public school and things happen and it's all different type of situations, but you're trying to actually make great men out here. So, tell me about that. How is it trying to transition in that responsibility? Is it tough for you?
Not necessarily. And the reason why is I grew up in the same community that I'm coaching in, right, at Garfield High School. I went to Rainier Beach High School, class of 2000. My pop's church to this day is still in 23rd and Union. So I was back and forth a lot from Rainier Beach to Garfield, or that area, I should say. But at first, initially, you got to know the culture of the city that you're in, community that you're coaching in, right? Historically, if you look back, Central District, Seattle, right, it was a lot of gang activity, a lot of African-American males and females that kind of really resonated in the Central District of Seattle.
Yes.
And so it's no longer the same necessarily, but the culture there, the history there is still the same. And these young men and young women come from different various backgrounds, some broken homes, some fully family homes. So it's my job as a head coach to figure out the personalities of these young men, to learn these young men. And I tell my coaches all the time, our biggest component is player development. So we have to develop these guys on the field and both off the field. And so in doing so, it ensures that we are for sure, each one teaching one, reaching lives one at a time, as much as we can. And it's been great, man. It's been a great journey so far.
Man, and you know what? I've been there for most of the road for the most part, and I just love your growth.
Yeah.
Each time you try to elevate and try to get better.
Appreciate
that. And then when you got to Garfield, you taking lumps just like the kids are, but you're learning as you're going.
Absolutely.
And I think, this is what, your fourth?
Yeah, this is my fourth year. Head coach. I took over intern, but this is my fourth year.
Well, I feel the intern wasn't the intern. I think that was just
last minute.
And so those 4 years you've been there, I've seen the progress, right? And in this fourth year, I feel like you're a senior now in coaching high school football, and I think that you're being a lot more calmer in situations that I didn't see you as calm when you first started.
For sure.
And now, you got goals in mind. You got aspiration. I think these kids have aspiration. How do you kind of level that off and set a standard level for what we're trying to do?
Absolutely. So me personally, we meet every year prior to our season starting, and we go through our team objectives, who we are, our philosophy, the whole nine. And most important is giving these young men an opportunity to see what it is that I see for them. And I create this platform that this is what I see us playing December 3rd. These are the things it's going to take for us to get there. And for me, the biggest component that keeps us together is them trusting my leadership. I don't have it all together and I don't know it all, right? But I'm always learning. And I feel like my way successful in this sport is simply doing it one day at a time, 1 week at a time, instilling discipline, values, character, integrity, all those things into these young men. And when you get that and you come up with that ingredient, man, the sky's the limit for these young men. And I'm seeing it come into fruition even now with the young men we have. Because like you said, it feels like more of a senior year for me. I'm a lot more comfortable, a lot more relaxed, but very confident in what we got.
Yeah, I can tell the confidence. I can tell your seniors and your juniors are very confident in themselves, but then confident in what you guys are giving them.
Right.
So they know what plays you're running. So they'll be confident in each play that you're giving out
Absolutely.
to them, which is a great thing. Now I have to back for a second because I want to know from you, because you being a high school coach, what is the biggest take that you would say freshmen have to have the biggest adjustment when they come to high school as far as football goes?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is, for one, accountability. I preach that, I teach that day in and day out, because again, these are young men who we're trying to prepare for life after football. Football doesn't last forever. This is simply just something to do for a lot of these young men, right? But if we can teach these young men so many different values that their future self will thank them for and that will prepare them for the real world, now we're doing our job. So the accountability piece is something that a lot of freshmen struggle with, Justin, being on time, not being late to meetings and weight room, and but just giving max effort. But really now we transition a little bit into the mental part of the game, right? A lot of guys are bigger, they're faster, they're stronger. And I tell my players all the time, it's a one-on-one battle, the mental versus the physical, right? And at this point now, you got to figure out, how can I overcome this mental barrier that is standing in the way from me succeeding on the football field or off the football field, or the 7 a.m. workouts or the mandatory weightlifting sort of thing. And so I pay attention to see which guys can do what. Skill-wise, you're going to have a lot of guys, right? We're Garfield High School. We're going to have skilled guys all day, every day.
Yeah.
But for us, it's more so trying to get these guys to understand the bigger picture of football. And it starts as a freshman. And then some guys, as are now seniors, now you can see the growth since they were freshman year.
I definitely think they were a fish out of water
Yeah.
Freshman year, because high school football is totally different than youth football.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at times, at youth football nowadays, it's about just winning, baby.
Yeah.
And the developmental piece of gaining accountability, they have to be retaught, because they come into an environment where there's no nonsense about accountability.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's a major adjustment. But once they find out, it's structure in that, I think they blossom.
Yep.
And I can see them from your seniors that you have now.
Yeah.
They're blossoming. They're taking accountability. Yes, it was my bad. I'll work on it.
Yep.
They won't get down on themselves, but they understand the assignment.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I want to appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And we got all of that out the way.
Yeah.
The season started, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's here.
And you 2-0.
Yep.
I mean, you doing
Yep.
a little thing. I mean, you got a game on Friday.
Yeah.
Seattle Prep coming to roll prep. They coming off in the Lumen Field.
Absolutely.
6:00 now.
Yeah.
Okay. And they gonna try to, they ain't trying to get embarrassed off in Lumen Field.
No.
Okay. They ain't gonna try to do that. I don't think Prep gonna try to roll off in there. Now they
Not
done
at
beat
all.
O'Day first time in 40 years. They got some confidence, but they ain't got the seniors they had from last year either.
Right.
So now, Coach, we only doing 1 week at a time.
Absolutely.
So, what you feel about this game this week?
Well, big shout out to Coach Aaron Mall, who's the head coach of Seattle Prep.
Yes, big shout out to him.
Good,
I got to get him on the
man.
show.
He's a good friend of mine. He is a very well coached individual who I have the highest regard and respect for. I tell my players all the time, I don't care about a record. I don't care about personnel. You must respect who you're playing. This game is so psychological, right? If I'm coming in on a Monday telling our players, hey, man, they're 1-1. They don't got this, they got that, but we don't have this and we got that. Now I'm getting into their head psychologically. So now in their minds, oh, we got the game won. So what happens is you roll into Friday, and that same mentality progresses throughout the week, and it shows on Friday. So it doesn't matter who we play. We're going to respect our opponent and approach and prepare the exact same way every single week. And that's something I had to learn over the last couple of years. Is it takes a maturity within myself, my staff, but more importantly in our players. And so we're going to be ready on Friday. Like I said, our confidence is pretty high, but we got to be confident, right? The odds are against us. A lot of teams didn't have us win in week 1 against the number 1 team in the state. So for us, that I scheduled that game to set the tone, not to define who we are, but to dictate a little bit of the direction we're headed in, right? And I challenged my guys before the game started, week 1, is I said, this doesn't define our season, win or lose, but it's going to dictate a whole lot of who we are. And I'm going to find out in about 5 minutes who we are. And they stepped up to the plate. So it was great to see.
Oh, definitely a great thing to see.
Yeah.
Okay. It was very good to see.
Yeah.
I will say that, but you just, hey, I understand you got it 1 week at a time or let that. I can't just wait on 1 week at a time. It's a couple games, and I am excited for. I've got chills to even think about, but I ain't fit to say it right now. But I'm gonna say good luck to you on your season.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna always be there as usual, covering. I'm Northwest ESPN. I gotta have it.
Absolutely.
But what are something before we get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
What is something that you would tell a ball player that ain't getting looked at too much, but ain't worked that hard either?
Great question, because I deal with players. Well, I've dealt with players every year of that magnitude for the last 5 years I've been at Garfield. And the number one question I ask them is, how bad do you want it? Do you want it? But more importantly, parallel to that is, what's your why? Why do you play football? If you can't answer the why you play the sport, you're leaving things up in the air to just happen at its own risk, right? You got to have a greater purpose as to why you play the sport. This sport isn't for anybody, right? And
last of the gladiator sport, that's for sure.
It's not for everybody.
The last of the gladiator sport.
Absolutely.
That and wrestling, that's it. That's the only manly, that's the only ones you're going to get with that.
Yeah, and I'm very transparent with my players because I feel like for me to be transparent, I'm helping them. I'm setting them up for success. If I tell them what they want to hear, now I'm setting them up for failure. And so to answer your question and whole proof really is commitment. If you're not committed to the workout, to the regiment, you can't expect this thing to be a light switch. You turn it on, all of a sudden you're ready to play ball. It's not going to work that way. Your body remembers how you prepare. How you prepare is going to be how you play. And that's with everything in life. How you prepare off the field is going to be how you perform in life. And so for me, it's all about life lessons, man. That's it. Winning, it comes and goes, but everything else is null and void.
Man, there's some wise words to go by, man.
Man.
For real, man. I really appreciate you coming on to the Truth for Proof show.
Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Oh, I'm gonna be at Lumen Field. Do not
6:45.
6:40. Yeah, it's 6:45. The game of the week is at 4:00, so I'm gonna be there a little early. I'm just saying that's all I got to tell y'all. I'm really, really pumped about just high school sports. You know how I am about high school sports. Just seeing my kid, my baller homies progress.
Mm-hmm.
And going after their dreams, because I'm trying to go after mine, and they're an inspiration to me when I see them going after theirs too.
Absolutely.
When I see Michael Montgomery telling them that I want this, I don't want nobody else to want it for me. I want it.
Yep.
And he told me, he looked me in my eyes when he said it.
Mm-hmm.
It was different.
Yeah.
From freshman year to now, it was a different mentality when he said I want it. He didn't say I want this for somebody else. He said he wanted it. Yep. So it made me, respect everything else after he said that.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you and all that you do for our community and community of Garfield. But you got the rumble. You got the rumble. You better start barking.
That's who we
are. Friday night is you got to start barking.